right? And then you could just take over.
Let's do it.
How do you guys feel about
All right, so we are live, everybody. Welcome, LinkedIn. I'm going to throw up our banner here. I want to just make sure that everybody, if you are tuning in live, you're liking, you're sharing, you're commenting, you're hitting that little love symbol down there on the bottom of LinkedIn, hand claps, all that good stuff. Like, share. We really appreciate you for doing that. Like, share, shout out your city or state. Let us know where you're viewing from, your questions, your comments on personal branding. We want to hear all of that. We love the pregame. So anybody that has questions, we definitely want to hear those questions on personal branding. Where are you struggling? Where are you having difficulty? Please let us know. We have a great show for you today. Everybody's lined up here. We're getting ready, and I'll let Steve lead the preamble here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So welcome, everybody. I don't know. I can't tell if we have Pat on with us, but Pat, obviously, make sure you're telling us what city or state or both you're here from, visiting us, and it's a great opportunity to connect, right? So this is the Master Connection series. So while you're on here, make sure you're chatting with each other on the chat, get to know each other, connect with each other. It's a great way to network and add value that way. I know the panelists are pumped and ready, and they're going to bring some tremendous value. And we were having some good banter backstage, so looking forward to that. Has Jonathan joined us yet or no?
I think he's trying to. I didn't.
Okay, all right. Well,
he's fully on. Yeah, we're getting it going, and
we're getting it going. So it's all good.
Internet challenges, just like everybody working from home. I remember trying to do a MPI lunch bunch and trying to figure out how to throw my 27-inch Mac in the minivan to roll over to my sister-in-law's house to make a fully functioning virtual event going. We're all dealing with those challenges. What's going on, Oscar? Thanks for showing up.
Absolutely.
Lisa's in the chat here.
Yep. As we're getting ready, and this is for the panelists, as well as anyone else that's tuning in so far. I appreciate Cameron, especially. If you haven't had a chance to check out Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, he does a BizDev Live, incredible networking event. Make sure you tune into that, and also every day, weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard, a YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's got the BizDev Live, and he does an interview with a really well an expert in different fields and so forth, and it's really good content every week, 5 days, Monday through Friday. So make sure you're checking that out as well. It's good stuff.
We actually had Bobby Umar on today, who is a personal branding kind of guru and coach. So that was really exciting and on topic for what we're talking about today. So you can subscribe on YouTube. I'm very simple, Cameron Toth. If you go to YouTube, it's youtube.com/Cameron Toth. You can also Google or just go to YouTube and do BizDev Live. I think you can Google both of those terms and the stuff will pop up as well. Pretty popular.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you just hit 250 subscribers recently, right? Congrats.
I did. And if everybody who watches this show jumps on, we'll be at 300 by the end of the day.
No doubt about it. No doubt. Yep. I know. Cameron's got a great story. You need to, if you haven't connected with Cameron, definitely connect with him, follow him for sure. He's pretty amazing. And as far actually, Cameron, you told me the other day you got actually interviewed on live broadcast, right?
It's FVN TV with Ashley Owen. So it's going to go live broadcast February 25th. Very cool studio experience. Hopefully the first of many as I walk this journey and get a little bit more popular. Leanne, thank you for the congratulations there. Leanne is actually a YouTuber and doing quite a bit better than me. She's been at it a little bit longer than I have, and that's a complete understatement. I just started taking seriously last year, and she's awesome, and I've actually been learning a lot from Leanne, and glad to be a part of her community.
Absolutely. Excellent. Hey, what's up, McGenna? McGenna's loyal following person, viewer. So we appreciate you, McGenna, being on here. She was also a former panelist on the team. And it looks like Jonathan's finally joined us, huh? Or do I have the wrong person?
No, I don't see it.
No. Okay, we're good. Whatever it is, it is. We're going to have a great time no matter what. So, oh, Stephanie's back. That's what I saw. The bottom was blocked. I'm not trying to compare you in any way. So
everyone, please like, share. Make sure you're sharing this with your network. Make sure people know what's going on. Make sure they know we're live right now. Make sure you're sharing it with the people that you like and care about and want to learn more about personal branding. We want your questions around personal branding. Where are you struggling? Where you have challenges? We want to hear from you. Drop comments in there. The LinkedIn algorithm loves those comments. So we love hearing from you and all this stuff. Make sure you're letting us know where you're viewing from. We really, really appreciate you.
I think Jerome is trying to join us, but I think he's on. So I don't know if he realizes he's on. So yeah.
Jonathan is here in the backstage. We're working on getting him connected, and we'll see if that works out. Jerome is saying to join, but I think he's for March 12th. So we can let him know that Jerome is March 12th.
Yeah, he's on the docket. Jerome's got a really cool background, former military. He has a show on YouTube called BFAM, which stands for Brothers from Another Mother. And it's cooking in the home, and it's a really cool brand that he's putting together and content and just fascinating stuff. And every time I get on Zoom with him, I always get hungry. I don't know why. But it's good stuff. So hopefully you're hearing this, Jerome, because Jerome is actually going to be one of our guests on 312 as we talk about leading from the front, which will be the topic on the 12th. And he is certainly a man, obviously, with military background who understands leadership for sure. So it's going to be great. But anyway, excited about today. This is going to be an amazing topic, and I'm excited to have the panelists we have. There is an incredible variety of people here with different strengths, and it's exciting. So looking forward to what's going to happen today, for sure. So yeah, if you're tuning in right now, share the live link. As Cameron said, make sure you do the clappy sign and the hearts and all that, because obviously, as you probably know, LinkedIn's algorithms are set for that. They like when we do that kind of stuff. So. Yep. We're getting close.
It's getting to be about that time. We're going to get into our pre-show amble here. Thanks for everybody jumping in, everybody on the chat, all my expert panelists. Thank you for the love. Here we go. Here we go.
Fire up your Friday.
Fired up Friday.
With Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
I am Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
Over the next hour of this Master Connection series, we will take a deep dive into the different ways to connect and network effectively.
See us and hear us right now. So LinkedIn, we are on here. We're getting ready.
Hear from experts along with Steve Spiro, who went from being shy and introverted to the Master Connector.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a Master Connections series. So we're just about at the top of the show, and I'll introduce our panelists. Our topic today is monetizing your personal brand. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that topic. For everybody that's watching, please let us know where you're tuning in from. We want to hear from you. We want your comments. We want your questions. And here we go. So I'm going to introduce everybody today. Very excited to talk about monetizing your personal brand. So relevant to everybody, whether you're climbing the corporate ladder or you are an entrepreneur. I'm going to switch my background and get into full Master Connection series mode here. And I'm going to introduce the Master Connector himself, Mr. Steve Spiro. Steve Spiro is a martial arts black belt and a master networker. He has moved from being a shy, introverted kid to the Master Connector he is today. Steve Spiro is certified customer communications consultant with Quadient, where he consults and mentors companies to help them find more effective ways to work with their customers. Steve Spiro believes in the power of mentorship, growing oneself through self-development and continuing to create meaningful connections through building a large network. Welcome to the stage, the master connector himself, Steve Spiro.
Thanks, Cameron. Appreciate it, buddy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad we have you here. You're the man.
I appreciate you. All right, we're going to keep introducing our panel, and then we'll get into our conversation. Stephanie Saunders is the founder of the Suskin Foundation and has brought her efforts of advocacy work and professional service-based influencer marketing to social media. She has recently been named Forbes' top 10 social media influencer of 2020 and is helping folks to get to social with her branding company, S2 Marketing, and is also the host of the S2 Show podcast, where she interviews industry experts and gets into the personal side of their climb. Please welcome the awesomely social Stephanie Saunders to our stage.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about this with you guys.
Absolutely. And we're going to introduce our next amazing panelist, Miss Leanne Calderwood. She helps sales professionals find their voice and build a personal brand that attracts more leads and opportunities through her blog, her videos on YouTube, and through online courses. Check her out at LeanneCalderwood.com. Leanne is a social media and event professional I've had the pleasure to know for many, many years. Welcome to the stage, the amazing Leanne Calderwood.
Thanks for inviting me here, Cameron and Steve.
My pleasure. All right. And we have the amazing Liza Wisner, Senior Curator of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Open Sesame. Award-winning television personality, Mrs. Liza Wisner is a talent development expert and the curator of change agent training, including diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies. Professionally trained in computer science and educational technology, Lisa has built an incredible career and has turned her love of automation into a fulfilling life, strategizing and managing learning, diversity, inclusion, and automation initiatives. Lisa is also the founder of social organizations, including the nonprofit PowerUp.org, on a mission to end technology poverty by bridging the digital divide. For more information about Lisa, visit her website, lizawisner.com. Please welcome to the stage the courageous curator, Liza Wisner. All right. And I think we're still working on getting Mr. Jonathan Beaudoin. Hopefully he'll be able to join here, and I'll introduce him once he's on. I want to get our conversation started and make sure that everybody's getting some value from the program. I got lots of comments to throw up on the screen. Everybody make sure you're letting us know where you're viewing in from, what questions you have on personal branding. And the first question I want to present to our panelists, and I'll pass it to you, Steve, to sort of give us the grand introduction on this. But how have you monetized your personal brand? Go ahead, Steve Spiro.
Okay, so are we doing the intro here, Cameron, or we're just
go ahead, and then we'll follow up with that answer to that question, and then we'll get the rest of the panel going.
Absolutely. All right, so hey, folks, it's Steve Spiro, the Master Connector. Cameron and I really appreciate you tuning in. Welcome to our show. Each week on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we come at you with engaging content on how you can also be a master connector, right? As a shy, introverted kid from the Bronx to someone who's grown a massive network and can talk to just about anyone, there's definitely lots of great lessons I've learned along the way. I'm sure like most of us have, right? It's been a winding road, from starting out in advertising, having a company right out of college, to martial arts studio, to technology sales, and now consulting and mentoring. Self-development has been crucial for me. So I've learned a lot, and I've had to keep adapting and growing like we all have, right? But I love sharing what I've learned. And so please make sure to check out my Fire to Friday Master Connector tip videos, which I post every Friday. I had one this morning and I got out. And thanks to my friend Sean Lashley, 10,000 cards. I have a digital card that catalogs all 60 weeks in one place. Check them out. Please DM me and I'll send you that digital card. But during this Master Connection series, each week, our goal is to gather subject matter experts like you've been introduced today to impart their wisdom on us all, including Cameron and I, obviously. And we're always learning. Got to keep growing, right? Bear with us. We're not perfect. We're learning as we go with this technology. But I am really blessed to have my co-host, Cameron Toth, founder of Toth Event Staffing and now host of BizDev Live weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also BizDev Live Networking. Check it out. Tuesdays, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Definitely don't miss either of them. But Cameron, you introduced us. I wanted to make sure I introduced you, sir. So please say a quick hello, and then I could get into what you wanted me to talk about.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I'll post the question. I want to know who's up next on this, but we want to answer this question around how have you monetized your personal brand? Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're all going to comment on this. Thank you for the introduction. I am building my brand, and so I know that while people are going through how you monetize your personal brand, you'll sort of see me in that journey, and we'll point that out as we go along the way here. So go ahead, Steve, talk to us about how you've monetized your personal brand, and then on the private chat on the back end, everybody let me know who wants next on this. Go ahead, Steve.
So Cameron, I appreciate that. I think the reason we have this incredible expert panels because you and I think we're learning and growing in this area. We are not, I can't say I have arrived. Certainly I believe that there's been a monetization because in my consulting work and in some of the other entrepreneurial projects and some speaking engagements, yes, I've grown and benefited financially and monetized it, but not to the level that I want to yet, right? But I do know that that's coming. And the old expression you've heard 1,000 times, which is your network is in direct proportion with your net worth, right? So we know that the larger your network, the larger and the more you'll be able to monetize eventually. So me, and I'll just speak for me, I'm building this brand. Obviously, Master Connector is the brand that I've been chose to kind of build personally. But I know the more that I get the word out there and the more exposure I have, the more I will be able to monetize it even more. So, but I'm growing, right? I can't say that I've been able to completely capitalize on it, but I see it coming in a big, big way. That's why I'm excited to hear some of the other experts on the panel here.
And Steve's being so modest, but he's been able to really gain a lot of traction from personally branding himself as the Master Connector and just being somebody that connects people. And that's his personal brand. I know I've felt it and sold it. I want to remind our audience, like, share, shout out your city and state, where you're viewing from, your questions, comments on personal brand. We definitely want that. Liza, I know you got next. Jump in here and give us some context here. How have you monetized your personal brand?
Oh my goodness. First of all, congratulations, all of y'all. You are making a change in the world. And I know personally, one of the things that has really helped me really boost my brand is really being authentic and really truly being who I am. And the way you monetize is by serving up what you do, right? And so I can say that I kind of accidentally fell into this space of being a personality because I graduated with a degree in computer science. I never imagined that I would leave the server room, but my heart was pulling me to really see how I can make a change in the world. And just being authentic and just really kind of seeing how can I just be myself has really been how monetization has happened for me. Not only was I able to build a thriving business and actually get on a television show where I was, vying for thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to boost my brand, but I've actually been able to impact change around the world based off of just me being me, right? So I would say the way you monetize is just really, first and foremost, just be yourself and show up authentically as yourself. Like literally wake up in the morning, throw those covers off and say, how do I feel today? Who do I want to be? And show up to the world like that, because the world needs heroes today who are really focused on being the best versions of themselves. I see myself as a support system of people in the world. And I hope that each and every single one of you watching, however you want to support the world, that's the first place to go. See how you can support the world.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Leanne's got next. Thank you so much for Liza. I think, and I want to just speak to it for a second. It comes into this, like, why not me? If you want to do something good in the world, building your personal brand so that, you're building yourself up so you can build others up. I love that message all day, every day. Go ahead, Leanne.
Yeah, thanks, Cameron. And I can echo both Liza and Steve on the journey to building a brand. I don't think there's really a beginning point and an end point. It really, it's a fluid process, and each day you might decide to monetize it differently. For the audience I talk to, the monetization is actually through attracting leads to the product and service they're selling. So a lot of the people that I work with aren't even working on a personal brand as an entrepreneur like someone like Liza or Steve, but they're working on their personal brand as a way to monetize and attract money back to the product or service that they're selling. That was definitely how I started my brand, was to attract leads to the service that I was providing. And it's really only been in the last year where my monetization has completely switched. So you don't need to stick with one monetization effort. You can definitely diversify, and as life throws you curveballs, you can change things up. Cameron, you're also a testament to that as well, as you've changed things up over the past year. So my former brand, I suppose, was a monetization in terms of bringing an awareness to the service I provided, bringing an awareness to the organization I represented. But now it's more of speaking engagements and teaching people how to do that. So that's one way that I monetize, is through training and through conference presentations. The other way that I monetize is I create digital courses. And depending on your area of expertise, digital courses is a great way to create some evergreen revenue for your particular brand. So those are two things that come to mind, Cameron, but there's a few others, but I'd like to hear from everyone else before I add them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Stephanie, did you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, I'm definitely in. So, I've always been aware of the importance of a brand, but I feel like right now it's changed. So, everyone has mentioned so far the personal brand aspect of driving traffic to your business, your service. But I think for me, the change has really been being more personal, showing more the person behind the business, which is probably the most scary thing to do because it's so unnormal. So as we go through all these changes, the more you can build that authority and build that trust through just showing who you are on an everyday basis with your business, that's really been the biggest breaker for me in terms of getting more attention, getting more business coming in the door. And then obviously the Forbes feature, I think it was really just because there's so much traction going from being honest. That's all I got there.
Oh, good. You should drop it.
That was the mic drop.
Yeah.
Can I just add something just really quick?
Cameron.
I have to tag on to Stephanie because I literally just posted this. I'm doing double duty here. I'm on social and also talking, but I have to point out that you are so right. There's a change now, right? So multinational organizations, we're talking about personal brands and us networking, but I work for Open Sesame, and I have to tell you that the authenticity of being a human being within the organization, they have to see that the organization is not just just like this big monster. It has to feel like a human. It has to feel the love. So I'm glad you brought that up, Stephanie. You have to be authentic. You have to be a thing. You can't just be, this business. You have to actually feel like a human, like a real, I would say you have to have a DNA. What is your DNA?
And I'll say that for me, I used to do marketing for really large corporations, and you're almost, as an employee, you're almost afraid to discuss the everyday ins and outs of a business because there's so many politics involved. But I think even large corporations are having to change that aspect and realize we have to show who our people are, even though I'm sure there will be regulations around that. They have to be people.
You have to. Okay, so I do diversity, equity, and inclusion work. And our organizations, the companies that work for us, they want to know, what are you doing? You're here telling us what you do, but what are you doing internally? So it's about really switching it up and realizing that even if you have a job right now and you're trying to get out of that job and build your network and become like Leanne and have however many followers, and Cameron's trying to get there, the point here is you have to start by just being yourself. So if you make mistakes, own up to it and speak the truth, because everyone is going through it. Everyone is learning. And Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong. When you make a mistake and own up to it, isn't that really sometimes a boost because people see that you're real, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think people are really having a hard time with how honest they want to be, because maybe they're hiding something, or maybe it's very uncomfortable to shift into this, hey, I'm your friend, guys. This is who I am. It's a bit of a process to get there.
Yeah.
Well, and if I can add, and if you don't mind me bringing the generational differences, there's a lot of salespeople and people who are having to change the way that they sell. and they may have 20 years of selling in the traditional methods, be it cold calling or emailing or networking at trade shows. And now there is this switch, which is awesome for people like us. For people who want to build a brand, the switch to inbound marketing is an incredible opportunity. But for those who have no experience with social media or are very uncomfortable with inbound marketing, that authenticity and trust is going to be more difficult for them, as opposed to someone who's just starting their career. And this is it's almost integral as part of their training. For someone who's older like me, and Cameron, I know that you're not as old as me, but this isn't your first career, my friend. This is not your first career. Like it's different to get to a stage where you feel completely vulnerable and able to show that vulnerability. But you're right, the more vulnerable you are, obviously your brand is going to grow faster.
So we did a thing with my foundation yesterday for young leaders who are looking to get into entrepreneurship. And the one takeaway that everyone had was brand yourself as an individual before you make a decision on getting a job or starting a business, because as you shift in your career, you will be different, right? So what is your brand identifier? Like, what do you look like? What do you sound like? What is the message you want to give off? So if you start with that as a new entrepreneur or new employee or new marketable person, you should have these basics of a brand even just from there. So I think that can loop back into old school sales reps that have been doing this for a million years. They should go to the basics again.
But that's what's so awesome is now you're talking about these things with the new career people, right?
It was great.
We never got it, right? 25 years ago, that is not the message that we got. So to share that message early in their careers, I'm so excited to see that. So thank you for sending that message. And I think we all need to do it, but I appreciate it being done as people are entering their career.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in the world where you say, oh my goodness, there's a lot of divided, stuff, but we're seeing more than ever. And the fact that you have a phone, you can promote yourself, and the idea that my 14-year-old is going to have her Etsy business. She has more opportunity than ever before to promote herself and to start brand building early. It's an amazing thing. You go back, 50 years and it wasn't about yourself. It wasn't about building. It was about building the brand of the company. Now, of course, anybody that was climbing the corporate ladder, they understood personal branding. They understand how to sort of shine, but now it's more accessible to everybody, and everybody understands that you're building your personal brand as you go. And to that point, we're going to build somebody else's personal brand that was able to join us, Mr. Now say your name for me, Jonathan, just so I don't, as the presenter here, mess it up. So I'll allow you to say your name first for us, and then I'll give you the formal introduction here.
Jonathan Beaudoin-S.
Okay, there's no way that I'm going to get all that off the first time. That's what we needed the pre-show for. But we'll say Jonathan,
that's all it is. It's
copywriter, marketing consultant, and founder of Bonaventure and Associates, the top-performing digital marketing agency for coaches and consultants in Waterloo, Canada. Over 700 entrepreneurs have directly benefited from his strategies, like his proprietary tape marketing method, including one client who generated over $172,000 from a single virtual event. Now, Jonathan and his team work with clients across 3 continents and can confidently create sales funnels that have been seen to average 16 times the returns in the information industry. Welcome to the show, the amazing, the justified Jonathan. You'll have to say your last name for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I apologize for being late.
No. Listen, in this day and age, right? Everybody's working from home. Everybody's doing. We're not going to say sorry for being late. We're going to say thank you for your patience. It's a big thing that I really appreciate folks for when they're coming to networking things. And my advice, especially for my ladies that don't have that confidence and over apologize, right? But for men too. We're so appreciative of you being on this stage. So we're going to ask you the question that we were asking everybody else, Jonathan, and then we'll move on to the next question, which is, how have you monetized your personal brand?
That's a great question. So I actually think about personal branding in 2 ways, right? Because I'm a direct response copywriter. And so when it comes to personal branding, I see that as being, of course, brand marketing, but we have to add in direct response if we hope to get the results that we want to get with personal branding. So if you look at me on LinkedIn, because that's where I'm the most active, you'll see that I put out a lot of content. And so the content is the brand. The content is people seeing me in their feed, keeping me at the front of their mind, showing off my results, flexing my personality, right? Showing them I'm like you, here's who I am, here's what I can do, look at what I'm doing for my clients, here's my team, right? All the traditional branding stuff. But then when you pair that with direct messaging, with direct response style copywriting, you build relationships in the DMs, you move those to a phone call, you make the sale. That is what I've found to be most effective. So it's a combination of those two traditional advertising methodologies of brand marketing and then paired with direct response.
I love that. Very strategic. Give some clues in, and we're going to talk about for the next question to walk around the room, and folks have already started, but I want to provide value and just give people, for folks that got the pen and paper out, a list of ways to monetize their personal brand. So who wants to jump into this first? And then everybody else, you'll hit me on the private chat here in the back to let me know who wants to go next. Who wants to give us a list of things that they can do to personalize, or to, a list of things to monetize their personal brand? Jonathan's good to go. He's going to jump in. Guys, hit me on the back end and I'll let you know who's going next.
All right. So like I mentioned, combine branding with direct response. So if I'm going to break that down into steps for you, I would say step number 1, have a solid content strategy in place. That's your branding. So I do it on a 4-day rotation where I go into authority postings. So content that shows me and shows my results and shows that I'm an authority in my space. And then I go into humanizing content. So that's like me with my friends, me with my family. Hey, look at me, I play piano, I like to work out. These are all the different ways that you can connect with your audience outside of just your career, right? Because people like people who are like them. They want to connect with you. They want to see that you're a multifaceted person, not just the one-dimensional, hey, look at me, hey, look at me, hey, look at me, look, I can help, look, this is my job, right? They want to see that you're a person who has interests, you're a full, well-rounded person, and if you like to work out and they like to work out, boom, connections created. You like to play music, they like to play music, boom, connections created, right? So that would be the humanizing content. I also do demonstration content, and thank you for thank you for tolerating the phone ringing. I appreciate it. So humanizing content, then we go into demonstration content, which is I do a lot of breakdowns. I sit down with my team. I show what we're doing for our clients, how we can do it, and I teach people how to do that as well. So a lot of tutorial-based stuff. And then we also have like more direct response style stuff, like videos, text posts where we have calls to action. So
I love the strategic pieces to this. All right, Lisa's going to jump in here. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in, but Jonathan, oh my goodness, your phone's ringing. It means it's working. So whatever you're doing right here on this show is working. Someone's calling you. But I have to point out that for me, it always starts. And if you don't know anything about me, go to powerup.org and see what we do, because our goal is about humanizing life for kids. So we're all about bridging the digital divide, but also the human optimization divide for our youth, because I believe that's our future. And the way we do this is by the first thing you have to do is, just like Leanne said, just like Stephanie said, you have to just figure out who are you, right? So discover who you are first before you start to put yourself out there and say, oh, I want to monetize whatever I am. If you don't know who you are and what you're trying to monetize, then you're not getting anywhere, right? Because the smallest thing will come in the way and kind of push you off target, right? The comment will come on your YouTube channel or your LinkedIn and you'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Be who you are, right? Then the second thing for me is to model. Find somebody to model. Don't reinvent the wheel. So figure out, if you see somebody and you're like, wow, I wish I could do that. What are they doing? Figure out what they do. And then do they have PDF downloadables? Do they have YouTube channel? Do they have an Instagram profile? What are they actually doing? And figure out how to model that. Don't reinvent the wheel. That's the very first thing I can tell you. Because when you're building your network, it's really truly about building a community. And if somebody's already done it, then just use the franchise model. Rinse and repeat what that person's doing and make it better, right? And then the last part is to automate. And so just like Jonathan was saying, figure out a system in place so that not only are you bringing the people in, but there's that second piece where you're actually able to bring that income in. My organization is a nonprofit. So when I talk about monetizing, I'm talking about me being on a stage speaking, and the income I'm getting is serving my community. And so income comes in and you figure out what to do with it. But if I stand on a stage and I have no way of attracting that, then you're not getting anywhere. So figure out how to automate that process where you're actually getting a return on your investment, because there's a huge investment. You discovering yourself and then modeling, which means studying a process, that's a lot of work. You got to get the return. Okay. So figure out first, discover yourself, model somebody, don't start from scratch, model and optimize, and then the riches come when you automate.
Love that. Steve, you're up.
Great job. I was almost on mute there, Cameron. But yeah, that's great, Lisa and Jonathan. So, you know, I'm going to come at a different angle. I know, Cameron, you wanted a list of things, so I'll give you a quick list, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a different perspective. Yeah. So, I mean, prior to the pandemic, I started looking to grow my brand, to monetize it in terms of speaking engagements, right? And also maybe some coaching, right? Because people ask me, Steve, how'd you get to, you know, over 11,000 LinkedIn connections and all that kind of stuff? And so those are a couple ways in which you can monetize your brand. There's other ways I've been able to do it as well. But I want to talk to those folks that are watching this, that maybe you work at a company, right? So I have several parts to my life, but I do consulting with Quadient. And it's funny, we had a large meeting today with a lot of consultants and sales professionals today. And it's interesting, I was called out, right? And, you know, I think there's a feeling like sometimes if you're at a corporation, you know, you need to stay within the confounds of the role that you have at that company, right? You know, if you're an account executive, you want to be an account executive. And the vibe that I get now in the world we are, you know, and of course the feedback from this meeting was, hey, you know, Steve's working. He's using social media. He's using LinkedIn, and quite frankly, this is the best year I've had pretty much ever across the board. And I know a lot of it has to do with LinkedIn, right? So if you're working for a company, number one, there's a good chance you're going to make better connections. And if you're in the sales world or consulting world, you probably get more clients. You're probably going to attract, you know, maybe get a better position. So the more you grow your brand, there's ways that you'll be able to monetize it. It's not just some of the things these experts are going to be talking about, because that might be very applicable to those who are trying to either build a company or they're like Jonathan, they have a marketing social media type company. But there's the average Joe or Josephina, right? That literally is not in that situation. But how do you grow your brand, and why, and how, you know, why grow your brand? And so that I just wanted to share. There's not just that other perspective. There's the intrapreneur, right? So that's those folks that work in a company. It's referred to, I've heard it before, as an intrapreneur. You could also grow your brand and monetize it as well. Unmute, Cameron.
2020 theme song. You're on mute. Stephanie, I want to make sure you're getting a shout in here. I don't know if you're on the private chat on the background, but you'll raise your hand or let me know somehow if you want to jump in here, right? Leanne, go ahead.
Yeah, well, first, thank you so much, Steve, for bringing up people who are entrepreneurs, because those are mostly the people that I work with. And Steve, I'm guessing over the course of your career, you made one of the same mistakes that I've made, and something that I'm trying to prevent other people from making is, as entrepreneurs develop their personal brand, is to have that honest conversation with their teammates or with their employers about their desire to create an inbound marketing strategy. It's something I didn't do with one of the companies I worked for, but now that I'm doing it and I'm very transparent with the company I'm with now, that's how my brand has actually grown, is having the support of my organization behind some of the different things I'm trying to do to create a sales strategy. So for anyone who is an entrepreneur and needs to develop their personal brand, I think my piece of advice for you is, as you work on that brand and attract leads into your organization, have that open dialogue with your sales team, with your boss, so that they're part and parcel and they can help support you in building your brand, which is obviously going to build their business. But the other question I wanted to tackle was one that was brought up, I believe it was Daniela, about being authentic in a polarized world. And you're right, Daniela. It is kind of the clash of these two ideologies right now, where we are very polarized, but now we're supposed to create these authentic personal brands. The thing with your brand, the thing with my brand, anyone's brand, is you are not going to appeal to everyone. You should be appealing to your ideal community, but you won't be appealing to everyone. So you're right. Your brand will potentially turn some people off, some people who don't share the same belief system that you do. But that's part and parcel of creating a brand, is attracting those like-minded individuals. And that's what Jonathan mentioned earlier, is the things he chose to amplify about his brand. And I can't remember what they were, Jonathan. Obviously, living in the woods has to be one of them, because you look like you're in the middle of the woods right now. But he's going to attract a different kind of person than someone that Gary Vaynerchuk is going to attract, or someone that Cameron Toth is attracting with the way that Cameron presents himself. So find the things that are going to appeal to your ideal community, amplify those things, and then the rest of the polarized world, you don't necessarily need to entertain them at all.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I appreciate that so much, because everybody's got a different audience, right? Go ahead, Stephanie.
Hi. So I think everyone has such great points here. But I'll go back to just reiterate, brand identity has to be first on my list. So, because I think brand identity is more than just like your visual look, right? It's also your messaging, who you are, how you want to show up. Are you hireable? Are you marketable? So that's number one. And then I think number two that I haven't heard yet, which I think is a really big deal, is free value add, right? So whatever your subject matter is, or whatever you're an expert in, I think we have to not be afraid to give away free content, free information that shows our value and sheds light on our expertise, but it usually attracts more of an interest into wanting to know more about our expertise because we've dropped some free content.
Excellent. Yeah, and I wanted to say that Daniela is saying, awesome, thank you. So we answered that question. So folks that are watching, please give us some more fodder to work on with our expert panelists. Make sure that you're liking and sharing this out. We want a wide audience. The more questions that get asked by the more people that are watching, the more value that we can provide. So like, share, shout out your city, state, questions, comments, that all helps with us. And I know Steve wants to jump in here, and then we'll get into our next question here. Go ahead, Steve.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely great points. And I just want to talk about the direction she was going, which is, authenticity and adding value, right? Big believer in that. And I one of the great books that I read recently is The Challenger Sale. And the point of it is it's basically, we are consultants, right? We come to the table with value, and it's a different world. Like back in the day, the only way you can actually buy something is you had to go someplace or maybe they came to your door to door, but you had to speak to a salesperson. Today, the education, the sales process is very, very different. People they want to be educated, and of course they can do a lot of education on their own, but the more you can educate them and the more you can advise them and be a consultant and an expert, a subject matter expert, the more they're going to want to do business with you. So your personal brand, and I love LinkedIn also because it's a way that you can, number one, you could be yourself, right? I don't think people buy from companies. I think they buy from people. So that's, who and what you're about is extremely important. But what makes you valuable? And if you're on a regular basis providing good content, people want to know what you know, and they want to pull you into their team, right? I said this the other day to Cameron, right? We were on a call with a pretty very successful videographer, and he had some really good points. And he said, listen, if I'm ever in a room where I'm the smartest guy, I'm in the wrong room. So I always want to surround myself with really bright people. That's why you all are on the call. And I'm happy to be the dumbest one in the room here. So but, appreciate you guys. And that was the perspective I wanted to put forth.
Thank you. Leanne's got next here. Go ahead, Leanne. Got to unmute.
Sorry, I thought Lisa was going to go first, but yes.
Oh, you know what? That's you know what? That's right. And I think I got my L's confused. Lisa, jump in here. I'm so sorry about that.
It would be totally fine because I'm learning so much from Leanne. So, so Leanne, go ahead. Take it away, Leanne.
Well, the question came in on how to discover what your personal brand is supposed to be. And I'd love to tackle this one only because I just did a whole bunch of that free content that Stephanie was talking about. I just did a bunch of free content around this very question. So, and you're right. I think the number one key to any personal branding venture is to figure out who it is you are. And part of my brand is sequential steps and a step-by-step process. So what I did is I looked at what makes up our personality and identified really 8 areas that we could dive into and pull things out of our personality that we can then choose to amplify through our personal brand. And I do have a free workbook. I don't know if we're allowed to plug these pieces of free content, Cameron, but I do have a free workbook about looking at the different areas of your personality to pull these things out. And you can find it at leannecalderwood.com/personality. But the 8 areas that I think you can look at and then decide what to amplify. And that's the key, is deciding what to amplify. And I'd really like to hear Jonathan's take on this as well in a little bit, because he's decided what to amplify through his brand. I can already tell he's done such a good job of this. But look at your characteristics, like your literal characteristics, your physical characteristics. So a great example for me is I've always had short hair, and a lot of people in my industry know me for my short hair. So that's a characteristic that I amplify through my brand. I will never grow my hair because I don't think people will recognize who I am. But the other things could be your talents, your skills, your passions in life, your traits, your value system. And for those who are promoting in a value-based organization, that's a huge one. Your belief system and your strengths. And so the strengths goes back to those strength finders inventories, maybe the Enneagram inventories that you're doing. So those are 8 areas that I think if you look at yourself in those 8 areas, and now you've got this massive bucket list of all of these great things about yourself, now decide, okay, which ones do I want to amplify and show my ideal community through my personal brand?
Love it.
That's everything.
Go ahead, Lisa, jump in here. I love that advice.
Well, I'm over here just taking it in, taking my notes, but I just wanted to point out, like, I think the point here is when we were talking about having purpose, right? So how do you discover who you are? I just have to say that you can feel it when that human being is really living in their purpose. So the point here is that as you're going through figuring out who you are and discovering what your brand is or who your community is, right? So you want to be authentic to your community. The motivator is you. So first figure out who you are. So go ahead and visit Leanne's website and download that assessment so that you can discover who you are. But I would tell you, the main thing that I was just thinking through right now was, if you're going to build this network, which you should really feel like it's your empire, you have to have confidence. And you don't have confidence if you don't know who you are. You have to be real. The second thing is you have to make sure that you're disciplined and understanding, and I love that Leanne said that she won't grow her hair, because you got to own your brand and you just got to be your brand. So my brand is all about just, I'm excited about life. I'm having parties on my shows because that's who I am. That's what I represent. I represent being heroic and really being yourself. And I don't expect, I would say, a blueprint type person to resonate with that, because I'm all excited all the time, right? And then I would say the consistency in terms of the business reality of building your brand is making sure that you know that there's work to be done. You have to have that business mindedness. So really seeing what type of business are you trying to build? Are you trying to build a business, like Stephanie said, where you're dripping free content and then every now and then there's an opportunity for a sale? Or what are you actually doing? Are you asking to stand on stage and present presentations and then that's how you make your income? What is it? Or are you trying to grow your career? So you're an entrepreneur. I love that, Steve. Thanks for bringing that in. And like me, I am an entrepreneur for Open Sesame. So my goal is to build the brand of Open Sesame as being the world's leader of providing productive and admired workforces around the world. And I use my brand to boost their company. So what are you actually trying to do, right? So that's what I think we're trying to do here. If you're going to be an expert and build your empire, you have to have that confidence, and it comes with really knowing who you are.
You're muted, sir. Cameron, you're muted.
Oh,
Yep.
2 times in one day. I just wanted, before Stephanie jumped in here, I wanted to give a shout out to the folks that are chatting. Paula, thanks for being here. Angie Legg, the amazing Angie Legg. Just want to highlight her, the amazing hair of Angie Legg. Chris Dutra. Chris Dutra, I want to shout you out because I heard, you know, one of the things that you hear in terms of like doing videos, you need to be a little bit extra on camera. So, you know, if you're normally a little bit reserved, getting a little bit extra like Liza is doing is a really good thing to show that through the camera. But there's also incredible value if that's not who you are. If you're a shy and reserved person, maybe it's ASMR, right? That kind of subtle vibe. I just want to highlight that because there might be somebody that's on the other end of the screen that's saying, well, I can't have that fabulous hair, or I can't be that amazing, energetic person. Listen, if your personal brand, if your thing is something totally different, own that. And I think the thing that you want to make sure that you're taking away from this is that you're putting that out there. Right. So if you do have a really particular hairstyle, that you're putting it out there and you're owning it, and you're doing cartoon images with the hairdo, and you're putting it out in all of these different ways, and you're really owning that space. If you're shy and introverted, and that's something that you want to talk about, listen, just own that and put that out there and keep letting people know that you're shy and introverted. And this is a challenge for you because there's so many people that identify with you that understand.
Like, you're talking about that, and I'm thinking, you know, if you're afraid of being seen, audio podcasts are blowing up, y'all.
Absolutely.
So just turn your microphone on and start talking to people. You could write a book, right? So you could write a book and just be an author. There's so many ways that you can make the masses know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to shout out all the women on the stage. We're getting lots of comments about the amazing women from Stephanie Bellafato and Pat Laurie. Just amazing. We love that. Keep throwing comments and questions in, and we're going to go to Stephanie. Go ahead, Stephanie.
So Leanne and Liza, you guys have such fantastic outlooks on this personal branding, but not to take away from any of that huge value, I think it's true that we can simplify this. Like, my brand is really my story, how I got from point A to point B. I was in corporate, I am now independent, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm running a nonprofit. I'm also an equity shareholder in a public adjusting firm, 2 totally different things, but my story creates my brand. So, some people I think are intimidated by all these new words that they've never been familiar with before, and all these new, tips and tricks. So I think just to simplify it, you can use your own story as your journey to where you are and kind of why you're passionate about it. And that is a starting point for a brand.
I love that. Absolutely. Go ahead, Stephen. I know you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, Cameron was speaking my language before. Stephanie, you are as well, a little bit as well. I don't have the hair I could talk about, right? I'm not super animated. I have to get really out of my shell to do that, right? But you know what? One thing I would say, and it's a little off topic, but isn't, and that is, first you have to, and this took a long time for me to get to this place, but you have to be comfortable with who you are, 100%. And if you are shy introverted, like I've been for my whole life and growing out of that, and now I'm a extroverted introvert, I guess, right? Is you just got to be comfortable who you are and be okay with it. And what I've realized is, and I've got a good friend of mine who's a mentor to me, and he's dynamic, he's funny, he's got all these great qualities. I'll never be that. I'll always be a second class him, but I'll be a first class me, right? And whatever. And what did I realize at one point my value is? Well, number one, I agree with you, Stephanie. It's my story, right? Being a overcomer and overcoming, shy, introverted, bullying, picked on as a kid, and all those crazy things, and broke family and a whole broke mentality and all those things that I overcome. But the other part is I realize from a personal brand and who I am, what do I bring to the table? I feel like the biggest thing is I bring my sincerity. I am I am sincere, and that's it, so just get comfortable with who you are and then emphasize it. Don't try to be somebody else. Be who you are, love who you are, and then, share it with the world. Because I think the reason that, back in the day when I used to take speech class, right, it was hard when you had to do a speech. But if you speak from something that's within inside of you, it's easy, right? I bet you if there was a topic, right? So for a while, I played tennis a lot, for like 5, 6, 7 days a week, 4 or 5 hours a day. If you asked me about tennis back then, I could just start talking about it. It didn't matter if I was shy or not. That was something I knew, right? But it's when we talk about things or we try to be who we're not, that's when it becomes challenging. So that's my advice for those folks who are watching, who are trying to figure out what their brand is, or trying to maybe be somebody that they aren't. Don't be that. Be who you are.
I need everybody. Thank you for that, Steve. Thank you. Yes. I need folks to read our audience's mind because they're being a little shy and introverted with us, and they're not asking questions. And I want my audience, please put us to work. I know there's very specific questions that you have about your own personal brand, your brand for your business. I'll actually take that line and actually give a question out to the panel and let me know who wants to jump on it first. But the difference between personal brand and business brand, right? So think about that for a moment as I try to grab some more thoughts and feelings and questions from the audience. Please let us know, particularly for your business. The more specific the question, the more we can specifically help you, the better, because I know if you're asking that question, somebody else has that question as well.
And
all right?
Cameron, as people are thinking about it, can I just tag on just like a little 30-second about what was just discussed? I think sometimes what might happen is when you're trying to figure out who you are, you're going to feel overwhelmed because it's like, I don't know who I am or who am I supposed to be, right? And so, as we get into the business reality of owning your brand, that's a whole other thing, but you can't get there unless you do this work. You're going to be overwhelmed, and it's okay. Honor it. Honor the struggle, okay? Be a champion of it and know that, it's going to happen. But the most important thing here is don't just sit as victim. Anticipate it. Know that it's going to be hard. The second thing is you're going to be ridiculed. There's going to be people who don't resonate with your brand, just like that question we got. Danielle's like, how do you be authentic? And Stephanie's answer and Leanne's answer was perfect. I think the point here is that people are not everyone is going to resonate with who you are. And that's totally okay. And then the next thing I'll say is you're probably going to fail the first couple of times you figure out who you are. So I would say, as we're thinking about the business reality, be okay with the failure of maybe having to figure it out, right? And I think everyone here who's been able to build a brand where they're seeing success in it, you learn from the mistakes and you learn, and it's really an opportunity that allows you to become who you are. You actually end up telling your story, like Stephanie said, and people start seeing the authentic person come out because you're kind of peeling that onion and people start seeing it live, and that's how you build a strong network of people who are there. Your ride or dies. They're there for you because they've seen you. So,
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I've learned just from building this community is sometimes you're so hungry for that new connection and for that new audience that you forget your old audience. So I want to say to everybody that's watching now, in building this and working with Steve to make sure that we have an audience, I have to remember, oh yeah, invite the people that showed up last week. And I can't stress that enough. Take care of your current clients. Take care of the people that are currently with you. If your family member does something for you, take care of them. It is a blessing. Appreciate what you have, right? It's just no shortchanging that. Angela's got some great questions. I know that Jonathan wanted to jump in. Go ahead, Jonathan.
All right, so Angie asked, when should you incorporate logo design and brand colors when building your brand? I'm going to say that that's not even something that you should be thinking about, period. So let me explain my answer real quick. When you're building your personal brand, whether that's because you're an entrepreneur and you're building up your business, or you're an intrapreneur and you're building yourself inside a company, there are a million things that you could focus on, right? I'm sure that everyone on this panel can agree. There are, we've all shared different tactics. We all have different strategies. And if any of us tried to do everything that everyone was suggesting, we would lose ourselves in the sauce. So really what I would say is to focus just on the 1 to 3 core things that are going to give you the best results. Don't worry about logo colors. Don't worry about logo design. Don't worry about a personal website. Don't worry about any of that until you have established your personal brand. When people are coming to you, when people see your value, when people are asking to work with you, then you know you've got something and you can think about everything else. But until you get to that point, there's no need to worry about anything auxiliary, because it's just going to add more work to your plate. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to get burnt out. And the further you go, the more that's going to weigh on you. And eventually you're going to give up. So that's what I would suggest for Angie.
I love that. Anybody else want to jump in on the logo design and brand colors? Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, so some of you know my background. I was a graphic designer by trade. I went to the High School of Art and Design and then Parsons School of Design. So logo and brand, I had a beautiful looking portfolio coming out of college. Beautiful. Couldn't get a job, because it's not about, like Jonathan said, it's not about that. That's not what it's about. Pretty things are great, but what's the substance behind it? So I completely agree with Jonathan, which is you got to figure out the essence about, and Angie, I think Angie's asking the question just to give us some stuff to engage about, because I know she has figured out what her brand is about and her why, and all the meat and potatoes, the substance behind it. I know she has. But for those who haven't, who are hearing the question and the content here, definitely make sure you understand the why. You gotta have that passion first. You gotta understand the direction in which you're going, right? It starts with why. By the way, I want to just make a quick comment. Many people, I think we were programmed to focus on the what and the how. And I just want to for the world to hear, and I know we have a limited number of viewers, but we're going to get a lot of repeat viewership here. Please start with why, then who, then what, and then how. Big difference. I think many people start opposite. They go, Simon Sinek did a great book, Start With Why. Great book. I also read a book recently, The Who, Not How. Phenomenal book. But why, who, then what, then how. Game changer for me in my world. So just wanted to pass that on.
Love that. All right. I got a longer question to read here. From Aiden Hand, and Angie's also saying here, so if we can kind of throw this in here, what are the best ways to own your content? But I want to get this question in from Aiden Hand, so we'll do a little double duty here. So Aiden Hand says, I was thinking about creating an Aiden from KeyBank Facebook page that is separate from my personal Facebook page. I was thinking this might be able to help me distinguish my business brand from my personal brand, and in a sense, segregate my personal social life from my business networking life. What do you think? Have you tried something like this? I know Liza wanted to jump in on this. Go ahead, Liza.
I sure did. Thanks, Cameron. Thanks for tagging me in. I think the most important thing here is, I know we were talking about the business reality of building your brand. And the point here is that the point is you want to create products and programs that are improving people's lives. The goal is not for you to, don't think of it as you're making money. Think of how you're serving people, right? So how are you going to serve your people? And so when you think about the business side, sometimes your own personal life might get in the way of the conversation. So I think it's going to be important for you, Aiden, to make sure that you do differentiate that. Do that now. Don't waste time creating that separation, because to create those marketing funnels, your family is not going to want to hear about your marketing funnels, right? So you're going to want to create a space where you're able to do that so you can sell your stuff, right? And when you're posting your free content, yes, you can cross-post it on your own personal brand, but as soon as you start partnering with people, as soon as you start bringing in traffic, as soon as you start maybe hiring people to manage your brand, you're going to need that separation. So do it now. Because like for me on the front end, I have like multiple platforms, as you can see. But I think my point here is that you're going to have either your podcast, or you're going to have a YouTube channel. You're going to have all these different things you're doing. But on the back end, the reality is you're either selling a book, or you're selling a course, or you're selling an online coaching program, or you're selling yourself to be on a stage speaking in front of thousands of people. Whatever it is, you have to figure out a way where there's that separation of your personal life and your selling life.
Love that. And I know Steve wanted to jump in. Go ahead, Steve. And,
Yes.
and I got a lot of love getting a lot of love for your last answer, Steve. So I'll throw that up while you're speaking. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. Great points, Liza. So I actually know Aiden pretty well, and I was blessed to be able to. He did I guess a financial evaluation with me, and it was tremendous. Now obviously, I'm not in a position where I need to use his services, but it was great. So one thing I would say, Aiden, for you, I just happen to know you a little bit. I know we've had some conversations. Number one, that value that you bring is much more important than the fact that you're Aiden from Key Bank, right? So I agree with what Liza said about the value add. Number two, I think for me, Facebook, and I'm not an expert in this world, but Facebook is really a good place. If you're going to use marketplace, you're going to sell something, sure, but transactional. I don't think if you're trying to create a business brand, I think LinkedIn is the best place to do it. Now, I don't know if you're under any kind of, I know in the financial world, there's quite a lot of requirements or regulations that you got to abide by. So I'm not sure if that's a challenge there, but I would look to LinkedIn for building a business brand that you and your business and the value you bring versus trying to do it on Facebook, which is to me is a more of a lifestyle oriented type of world, not really business, unless you're looking to buy a motorcycle from somebody.
Let me just add 2 cents in there, Steve, because I think the Facebook thing, you got to understand, for anybody that's wanting to do business, should you have a business page on Facebook? Yes, you should. I'm just going to say that because Facebook, like Google, is a huge search engine, and there's a lot of opportunity on there, and you want to be where people are in terms of business. Now, if you have a personal page on Facebook where you're sharing your political beliefs and your photos of your children and all of the things that you don't necessarily want everybody in all the world to see, you do want to have that separation there. I'll just say that. For me, I'm very comfortable blending the two on Facebook, but there's a lot of people that I don't let into my Facebook circle. And Facebook right now is very insular. So in terms of marketing, LinkedIn, you can go to second and third connections with a post. TikTok, it's going to send it out. You may be on the For You page and the world may see it. So in terms of where you want to invest your time and where you want to build your community, Facebook is a great community building tool. You're doing the groups, building business pages. You're bringing people in and you're going to invest the time there. You can do some great stuff. Case in point, if you're in a community and you got the Scarsdale Moms, that's great for Toth Event Staffing, my hospitality business. These are great places where you can really do well with your business. But to Steve's point, to Lisa's point, where is your community and where do you want to not spend your time? Where do you want to invest your time, right? And I know Jonathan wanted to jump in. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, so could you bring everybody back up?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you very much. So actually, this is for both Steve and Liza. It was going to be initially just for Liza, but now that Steve gave his answer, I just want to say I disagree with both of you. So I want to hear what your thinking is.
I love it.
And then I want to go a little bit back and forth. So it sounded to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, like you both are saying that you should have a clear distinction between personal life and business life. Is that correct?
I would say from my perspective, that's not what I meant. What I meant is actually, if you follow my brand, I have the same authentic brand, but it just feels like if people want to engage with me on the business side, then they'll connect with my page. But I still have my personal page. Does that make sense? So like my personal page is still fun and everybody's on there. My family and friends are there. But it's important for me to also have that personal page on Facebook that professional page on Facebook, that business page where I can be able to start selling. Because if, I almost feel like I don't want to tell my friends and family, hey, and start dripping them, like, hey, start buying this, buy my book. I actually have a book. I'm going to spotlight it. I actually have a book that you can purchase that actually teaches you step by step, discover yourself. And it's for kids, right? But the point here is that I don't feel like you have to be two different people, right? The point is not that. The point is your platforms for being able to build your network. You're not going to be able to build your network on your personal profiles.
And to answer your question, Jonathan, I really don't do anything with Facebook or any of the other social platforms. So to me, LinkedIn is me. That's me. It's who I am. And yeah, it's business oriented, but it's who I am. My videos are just about me and what I think. So
and my 2 cents was on knowing Steve and knowing that. he's not playing on that platform. And I think there's so many different ways to do social. We talked about there's no wrong way to do personal brand in terms of, there's so many different ways to do personal brand. So we could sit here and have a debate on the proper way to do personal branding and the proper way to sell business. But the truth is, people are building business on every single platform. We haven't mentioned, I don't think, Twitter at all today. And, I was talking to Bobby Umar this morning, and he got his first speaking engagement off of Twitter. And in fact, the first time I was chosen to go to BizBash and be on the event lounge floor with Liz King and now Liz Caruso was from being a part of the event profs community that Leanne and I know so well from Twitter, right? So there's so many different ways to play on these social media things. I think a lot of the things that we're speaking to, just to bring value to the audience, is, there's ways to separate your identity. You may have different businesses, and this is where it really comes into play, because I may have a business that provides credit counseling over here that's very separate from my hospitality brand, that's very separate from my personal coaching brand, right? And we're all amazing individuals that can do different things. So in terms of building channels and building funnels and building things, it's about who do you want to see, which community are you building? One of the questions on Clubhouse the other night was, I'm doing this event related thing, destination related thing, and we want to get into more of a personal coaching brand over here. There may be some crossover audience, but it would be very silly to expect that everybody that was interested in this exact thing is going to be interested in that exact thing. So
Cameron, can I just tag Jonathan in? Because I'm over here wondering, what am I supposed to be doing and how am I doing this wrong? Jonathan, what am I supposed to be doing? I may be messing this whole thing up.
Let's let Jonathan go. And then we are at the top of the hour, and I want to respect everybody's time. So we'll let Jonathan go. And then what I'll do is I'll go around and get some closing remarks on personal branding from everybody. And if you can let people know, Jonathan, as you finish your point here, your closing remarks on personal branding and where people can find you, we'll go around round robin in the room. Obviously, I've dropped into, if you're on the YouTube, there are the LinkedIn addresses below. If you're on LinkedIn, should be relatively easy to find everybody, but please let us know the best place to find you on the interwebs and who you're trying to connect with. Go ahead, Jonathan.
All right, perfect. So I'll start with that then. And if you could just, again, for me. Thank you very much. So
Jonathan's very controlling. Have you noticed this? He's like, you can't
next time I'll be in charge, Cameron. So anyone who's looking to connect with me, LinkedIn is the best place. I work with coaches, consultants, sometimes service providers. So that's to give you perspective on what I'm about to say. I wish I had like an hour and a half still to go back and forth with Liza, because I'm sure we could learn a lot from each other. But the point that I would like to make, and what I would like to get your opinion on, is that in my space, with the people who I work with and with the communities that I'm in, going back on one of the points I made earlier about humanizing yourself when you're building your personal brand, I have found it to be extremely beneficial to not try to connect with people through a business page, but instead invite them to your personal profile on Facebook. There are a million ways you can optimize your personal profile to lead into different funnels. So there's a lot of opportunity there as well. And then you have the chance to talk about your friends, talk about your family, do whatever personal stuff you're doing. And then everybody who's in your network feels like your friend. And then you can promote, and then you can go into the DMs, and it's so much more personal because you're on Facebook and you're not on LinkedIn. Like when you have conversations on LinkedIn, you're like, hello, Jonathan, it's nice to connect with you. And I'm like, oh, hello, Lisa. Thank you for accepting my connection request. How are you today? Right? Like we just go back and forth business-wise. But when you're on Facebook, you're really just talking friend to friend. And then you can create those relationships a lot more easily. And as you're posting content, as you're building stuff out, people go back to your page, they see the entrance to your funnel, they go through, right? And people get a lot more of the humanizing qualities that they might not get on LinkedIn or on other platforms. So that's the point I would like to hear your opinion on.
Jonathan, I love it. Can I say something? First of all, you know what I just realized is that so sometimes I take walks in the morning by myself and I'll go live on my personal profile and I'll have like 30 people watching. But when I go live on my personal page, it's like people are trickling in. So what I've realized, exactly what you're saying is right, you know? And so I feel like you've connected the dots for me, which is exactly the point, right? Like people feel more your friend when you're really sharing the personal part. So thank you so much for bringing that to fruition for me, because there's value in that, right? And I think, you know, sometimes the point here is that we rely so much on systems like Facebook and LinkedIn, all these businesses that have been developed to be the networking communities for us, but maybe we need to build our own community, right? So wherever that your community needs to live, like that's what you need to do, right? Not necessarily relegate yourself to, you know, because the reason I have a business one is because you can only do certain things if you have a Facebook business page, right? So I want to learn from you, Jonathan, how to optimize my personal profile, because I feel like that's really where my riches are. Like Steve said, right? The riches are in your database.
Absolutely. Do you want me to go now? Do we have the time?
Let's go, Jonathan. Yeah, we gotta respect everybody's time. So go ahead and give some closing remarks here. And Chris, we're definitely gonna answer your question. I know Stephanie's gonna add in a little bit. Go ahead, Jonathan.
All right. So real quick, thank you very much for asking the question, Lisa.
Come on, you got.
Thank you.
It's all about you here, Jonathan.
I prefer to see everybody's face when I'm talking. I go off the reactions.
He's definitely the soul child of the community.
So ways to optimize your Facebook profile. So these are all tips that I've gotten. Like I said, I'm connected to a lot of coaches, consultants, service providers, and I know people who are doing $100,000 plus per month in just Facebook organic, right? So there are a few different ways to leverage your profile when you're on Facebook, but to speak just on your Facebook profile itself, like your personal page, you want to have a call to action in your cover photo, right? Like photo of you, cute background, hey, get my free thing, value add, whatever, go to whatever website. And that can be one of the entry points to your funnel. Then underneath your profile photo, you have your about, and you can say what you're about, put that same link, drive people into your funnel. On the left side of your page, you have your featured images and you have your little about section with your websites and whatever. So you put, again, your website in the featured image, you put just one image, that way it takes up the whole space, banner on the top, arrows pointing up, photo of you with your community, or photo with you speaking on stage, something that demonstrates expert authority. And then on the bottom, click the link above to go into my funnel, right? So you can optimize your profile just like that. And then as you connect with people, as you get more people onto your profile, you engage in groups, you post things on your story, you do lives, you post things on your feed. People are going to trickle back onto your profile, take action. And then from there, if your funnel's optimized, you get them into the free thing, you get them onto your email list, you get them into the upsells, and then it just snowballs from there.
Jonathan, how can people reach you if they want to learn more on all this great strategy?
They can hit me up on LinkedIn at John. I think that my LinkedIn URL is john.beaudoin, but you can look me up, Jonathan Beaudoin-S, if you can figure out how to spell that.
Jonathan, thank you so much. And we're going to go over to Stephanie. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Hi. So this has been fabulous. You guys are all, what an awesome group you have here. So to answer the question about that Chris had about where should an entrepreneur start building his or her brand? That I post content on LinkedIn. What else should I be doing? YouTube, etc. So what I would say there is, if you are a personal brand, that you're not a product, then you should focus on LinkedIn and maybe Instagram and a little bit of Facebook, just for, showing up purposes. So I think you should be everywhere, maybe even Twitter. But if you're like a product, then I think you should be on TikTok, and you should be on Shopify, and you should be on Etsy, and you should be on Pinterest. But if it's just solely for the purposes of doing video, LinkedIn and YouTube are crushing that right now. So I think you have to be everywhere. I had a really interesting experience recently where I actually got into LinkedIn jail because I posted that I had been in Forbes top social media influencer for 2020. And I had 4,000 new connections in like a week. And I also increased my profile views because I was trying to optimize everyone who was congratulating me. And so I was flagged as being suspicious, possibly, which is a whole nother topic. It's kind of how to be safe with LinkedIn protocols when you're growing quickly. But I think I realized with that happening to me, like when you lose your voice on a platform and you're only heavy on one platform, you lose all of your content, you lose your whole audience. So you should be everywhere, no matter what brand you are. Just kind of figure out which one makes the most sense. My closing remark is that this was fabulous. I like to help people as much as I can get started on influencer style marketing, which is just really helping you walk through the identifying of what you are, what your messaging is. Also, you know, the tone you want to set. And then we kind of kick you off with like kind of instructions on how to navigate this landscape. A lot of people don't understand some of the verbiage that we use, like copy and Trello and, you know, assignments and Upwork. So we kind of get you kicked off and ready to start your brand so you can maintain it on your own versus having, you know, an ongoing maybe marketing agency. So, but you can find me on LinkedIn, Stephanie Saunders, or my website, stephaniesaunders.com.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to go to Miss Leanne Calderwood. Mute. You're on mute. 2020 theme song.
Off of mute. Sorry, I'll make this quick because we're wrapping up. So I help sales professionals or entrepreneurs find their voice and develop their personal brand. I can be found at leannecalderwood.com. I'm also on YouTube at L Calderwood. And then, of course, I'm on LinkedIn at Leanne Calderwood to find me. And Chris, I wouldn't mind just answering your question very, very quickly. If you're looking to expand the different platforms that you're going to be on, regardless of the platform that you pick, make sure you go back to what Jonathan said at the beginning of the hour and create a solid content strategy around that platform and become consistent on that platform before you start adding another one and then another one and then another one. I think that might help with the overwhelm on where you should be next. Thanks, Cameron. That's everything.
Love it. And Angie's shouting you out here, giving you love. Going over to our energy MVP here, Miss Liza Wisner.
Oh my gosh, Cameron, I'm just on fire because here I am taking like a whole bunch of notes and I'm supposed to be an expert here, but I think I have to tell you, like, thank you for bringing all of us together. But my goal in life is really about just bringing people together. So I would say the way you can get in touch with me is by going to www.poweruphero.org. poweruphero.org. And I want to know if you have a story to share. We want to hear your story because my mission is to share authentic stories about how people are being heroes in their own lives. And you trying to figure out how to build your brand is really the opportunity for you to see how the world can use you to become more optimized because our world needs heroes today more than ever before. So for you to get in touch with me, and Jonathan, I am getting in touch with you because I wrote a bunch of stuff down where I'm like, I didn't even think of that. I am definitely connecting with Jonathan. So however Jonathan wants us to connect, I'm connecting with him. And Leanne and Stephanie and Steve, you and I have known each other forever. So I'm just high-fiving you. And Cameron, you are a new friend to me. So I'm just super excited to be here in this community. And I look forward for it to be a lifelong community for me. Angie, you seem so awesome. I cannot wait to connect with you in real life. Thank you, everybody. This is amazing.
Thank you very much. All right, Steve, close this out. The master connector himself. Come off mute for me and let us know what we are doing here before I play our end of segment piece.
That was a high five for Liza. And absolutely, I agree definitely with everything she said as far as the panelists. Definitely, you guys, you and Angie are going to be like butter and bread. I don't know what the right expression is, but you guys are going to be awesome together. Just definitely make sure you connect with Angie. Like, she's amazing. Yeah, listen, this has been great and a lot of great nuggets. And I like, I forget who mentioned it. Maybe it was Paula that mentioned that, you know, it's the fact that we aren't necessarily agreeing on every little point is great because that's what this is about, right? If we're all clones of each other, what good would having 4 panelists plus me and Cameron on here, right? So it's great that we all have different perspectives. It's been tremendous. And listen, I think the biggest thing that I took away from this, number one, I have a lot to learn. That's for sure. I have a lot to learn. So I appreciate you folks, and definitely want to have follow-up conversations with each and every one of you. I know Jonathan didn't get to speak as much because he got on a little later, but I think definitely connect with him as well as Liza, as well as Leanne, and as well as Stephanie, all amazing experts in all areas. Cameron, you are the man, sir. Appreciate all that you do behind the scenes. Again, I mentioned at the top of the show, but make sure you go check out BizDev Live at on Tuesdays at noon. make sure you go and check out his shows on YouTube, subscribe to his channel. But for me, you could find me right here. If you're on this show, we're probably connected, because I think the only way to get on this is, I think we have to be connected. I don't know LinkedIn 100%, but and find me. I have a YouTube channel, Master Connector. I'm on Clubhouse, right? But listen, what I believe, we are in an amazing time today, right? Yes, we've had some tragedies, but this pandemic has created some amazing pivots for people, and it's given us an opportunity to connect in a way that's so much more important than ever before. And that's why we call this the Master Connection series, because to me, as was stated in this the panel, it's not about selling, it's about connecting. I did a video today earlier. It's not don't pitch, connect, really connect, and that's what we're doing here. So definitely appreciate everyone that spoke, the viewers. Appreciate all your support. Not gonna shout everyone because I'll miss people, but definitely make sure that what I always say, and I believe this with every fiber of my body and being and soul, is we are the light, and we need to spread that light and hope to the world. So go out there, make it happen.
We're gonna say this on the count of 5. We're gonna say crush it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Crush it. All right. I want to just announce really quickly before I give my final thank you to everybody that next week, Steve and I will be talking about how we produce this show. We really want you to show up. The event is down in the chat right now. You can go push that button and attend that event, share it out, make sure people are on there. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear your questions. I've had lots of guests and panelists ask, how have we created this amazing event with all the graphics? So we'll answer all those questions, and Steve will be talking to how you can get 11,000 plus connections on LinkedIn and be like the master connector himself, Steve Spiro. So make sure you're punching down into those chat comments, register for the event, hit the attend, get the reminder. We will see you next week. This has been so much fun. I'm going to show everybody, so everybody look up. And yes. All right, everybody, thank you so much. We provided a ton of value, went way over time. Thank you for everybody's patience and staying with me. Thank you so much for this. I'm going to let everybody say wave goodbye, and we'll play us off.
You got to dance out like in your BizDev Live. We've got to dance our way out next time,
Yes. We can start that up.
Dance party. Come on. You can't just end like that.
All right, here we go. We're going to dance out to Steve Spiro's Master Connectors piece. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Fire up your Friday.
Fired Up Friday
with Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
I am Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
Over the next hour of this Master Connection series, we will take a deep dive into the different ways to connect and network effectively.
See us and hear us right now. So LinkedIn, we are on here. We're getting ready.
Hear from experts along with Steve Spiro, who went from being shy and introverted to the Master Connector.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a Master Connections series.